Well, diversity within any profession, and IT is no different, is really important because it's all about a war for talent. It's all about getting the best people for the role. The IT sector in particular is really quite interesting because, I mean, it's reasonably new compared to other sectors, and in its bid for diversity, you have lots of IT companies who all look roughly the same. They're sort of same generation of people, same type of person, and part of that's to do with the cultural fit of the organisation, the sort of people they look for.
Well, I think the first thing is when you look at the workplace gender equality agency and the work that they've done on this, is what was quite interesting is when it comes to gender diversity, obviously it's a lack of diversity in the IT sector. It's only about a third of the IT industry that are actually women. Only 25% of women are actually in manager roles. Less than 10% are in CEO roles. So there's a real lack of diversity when it comes to gender, for instance, from a diversity aspect.
So when I first started in IT, I was probably, particularly when I was at uni, I was probably 1 to 200 men. Like there wasn't any, and I was treated a bit like a fluff, that I didn't know what I was doing. And I found that actually happened when I left university, finished university and then joined companies. You had to really work a little harder to be recognised. I've worked in areas where I've kind of been treated a bit like a secretary, which was funny because it would be, you're the team leader in this, making all these decisions about a project and functionality and everything that happens to a project. And then on the sideline, I'm like, okay, can you type these notes up for me because I need this and this?
The statistics of women in the ICT industry is staggeringly low. When you look at the statistics of Australia alone, particularly research that Deloitte had done, women in ICT is less than 20% of the entire workforce in Australia, but that is definitely a global phenomenon. Because when you look at the big sort of digital and tech companies globally, so Twitter is a great example of that, where they're the biggest social networking platform across the globe and a cornerstone of the digital industry, and less than 10% of their workforce of their female workforce is in the ICT sector, comparatively to 50%. In other roles across the company.
But also to do with the feeder pool into that particular industry. So not as many girls and women studying engineering or computing science at university. So a lack of feeder pool, and that is I suppose a combination of the fact that some industries are seen as not being industries for women, some industries are seen as not being industries for men. That culture sort of really subliminal seeps into people's ambitions, and then there's a flow back into the education sector and parenting and the sort of dreams that parents have for their children and the way education is formulated for girls versus boys.
Like I'd be in a lecture and you'd look around and it'd just be you'd be the only female. Right, it was amazing. I think it's definitely changing at uni. I still think that you need to catch the females earlier, like in that high school area, and that's also changing. But I think it's a very slow pace. Like it's still not where it should be at these days.
So much higher expectation that boys will end up doing things that are scientific or logic related, and that girls will be nurturers or carers or educators. And that's interesting, but there's no scientific evidence to suggest that either males or females do better in one profession or the other. And actually, all of the work in neuroscience at the moment points to the fact that our brains are really agile and constantly rewiring, and we can work towards having brains that are numerically or non-numerically focused. So there's no reason why women and girls can't be better represented in diversity in information technology and computing and engineering, but there's a lot of social factors that hold them back.